Hello, Aries. Welcome. Take a seat and relax. There's nothing you need to do in this present moment except to relax and enjoy your reading. And to start your reading off, Aries, we have card number 20. This card is all about hope. This card is all about being in the dump. And in the dump, you have two options. You have despair, or you have hope. Do you want to give in to this dump? Or do you want to be hopeful that you will be able to make it out of this dump? Hope. Hope grows in the dump. The lotus flower blossoms out of the mud. Hope does not exist in a perfect world. In a perfect world, there would be no need for hope. In a perfect world, no one would ever feel or know what hope is. If you wish to experience and explore the crazy, wonderful feeling of hope, then one must go to the dump. If you wish to test your strength and see if you would choose hope over despair, then one must go to the dump. The dump is where you will find hope, and the dump is where the lotus flower blossoms. Oh wow, yeah. Look at that, there's a 9 of swords. This is something is keeping you up at night, right? The swords are of the mind, so the mind interprets the outside world as best as it can, right? And 9 of swords is when we are interpreting life as a nightmare, as something that keeps us up, as something that we don't want to be a part of, right? So we are terrified. We want to be away from reality. We want to go to sleep, but we can't, because we know that as soon as we go to sleep, we're gonna encounter our worst nightmares. So I would rather stay awake. But then that's a nightmare in and of itself, because okay, so the dump, but it's paired with the 3 of cups. So the cups are about the emotions. So how are you feeling in this dump? Are we feeling horrible about this dump because of the 9 of swords, because of what we're telling ourselves about this dump? Because Michael and Dwight here, they look like they're having a decent time. They don't look like they need to be struggling. They don't look like they're in a life or death situation. They don't look like they're in such a bad situation compared to like the 9 of swords. Now this looks like a bad situation. It's even dark. And, I wouldn't want to be in this situation. I wouldn't mind hanging out, imagine being the third one in the middle there, just talking, talking about, I don't know, life, talking about being in the dump. Interesting. 3 of cups, huh? Imagine 3, 3 people right there having a good time, cheers, and interesting emotions, huh? Being in the dump. That really connects people, being in the dump, going through similar traumas really connects people, so you're not the only one going through the dump that you're going through. There's people around you that are going through the same dump. So, hey, at least you're here together. Let's have a good time. The people are what makes the environment. So even though this is a dump, I would have a good time with those 2 people, if I was there. Didn't feel like the dump. It would feel like a good old time hanging out with the homies. So you can have a good time with the homies wherever. You can have a good time in a good environment, and you can have a good time with them in the dump. That's the cool thing about homies. That's the cool thing about the emotions. That's the cool thing about us, that we can perceive this dump and have a horrible time while we are in it. But if you surround yourself with the right kind of people, if you turn yourself into the right kind of person as well, then no matter where you are, no matter what's going on in life, it feels like a celebration. It feels like you're just having a good time. It feels like you're right where you have always wanted to be. You feel like you're right where you need to be. even though it's a dump, but you're with homies. So, yep. Compromise and letting go. That's cool. Compromise. So we started out really focused on the dump. We started out really focused on the nightmare. We started out really focused on how horrible our environment is. And but the 6 of Rainbows, compromise. This sounds like, to me, compromise sounds like a bad word. But to me it's weird, because all of the 6s are each element at its best, where it's at its best, you know. And this is a 6. This is the 6 of Rainbows. This is the 6 of Pentacles. That's a good card, you know. But compromise doesn't feel like the right word for the 6 of Pentacles. But this isn't the 6 of Pentacles. This is the 6 of Rainbows, and this is the 6 of Rainbows, and it's called compromise. And I think this is cool. I love it in this situation. See, I compromised, right? I hated it at first, but then I saw its worth. I saw its worth, and I enjoy it for what it is, because that is what it is. And me wanting it to be something else isn't gonna change this card, you know. It's just gonna cause friction with it. So it is what it is. So let's learn the good things about why this card is called that, why this card is what it is, you know. And you find appreciation for it, because everything is created for a reason. And everything is the way it is for a reason. And compromising, but it's more about not having a distorted perception, and you can change the perception if you want. Like the dump, you know, we can see it as the dump, or we could just compromise and see it as, hey, I'm with my homies and I'm gonna have a good time no matter where I am, you know. Like that sounds like a good compromise to me. From turning this 9 of Swords into turning this 3 of Cups. What a compromise. What a way to create a perception and the environment by still seeing it for what it is, but seeing it in a good way, I guess, you know, instead of seeing it for what it is and seeing it as a nightmare. Because you can turn anything into a nightmare, you can turn anything into a celebration. And it doesn't mean that one is wrong, it just means which one do you want to live in, which one do you want to embody, which card do you want to go to, which way do you want to go, left or right? Left or right? Letting go, 8 of Cups, letting go. I want to read this one because I like the words. I like this card a lot. It's about, there's a whole river of water, a whole body of water here, and then there's a drop on this leaf, and the drop is falling from this leaf, and it's about to, imagine the moment where it's like, it's part of the leaf, but it's leaving the leaf, and it's about to let go, and this is the last moment where the leaf and the droplet split, you know, being one and then split off, but it's falling into this body of water, this huge body of water. Now imagine what happens when this drop of water hits that body of water, and it melts, and it melts into the big body of water, and now it's not the drop anymore, now it's the whole body of water, but the droplet is still in there, you know, but it's now part of something bigger. Letting go. In this image of lotus leaves in the early morning, we can see in the rippling of the water that one drop has just fallen. It is a precious moment, and one that is full of poignancy, poignancy, and surrendering to gravity, and slipping off the leaf. The drop loses its previous identity and joins the vastness of the water below. We can imagine that it must have trembled before it fell, just on the edge between the known and the unknowable. To choose this card is a recognition that something is finished, something is completing. Whatever it is, a job, a relationship, a home you have loved, anything that might have helped you to define who you are, it is time to let go of it, allowing any sadness, but not trying to hold on. Something greater is awaiting you. New dimensions are there to be discovered. You are past the point of no return now, and gravity is doing its work. Go with it. It represents liberation. And of course, we were talking about a transition, a compromise, of letting go. Princess of Wands and the Knight of Swords. Wow, we end with 2 court cards. So this is the letting gravity do its work. Princess of Wands. So letting gravity do its work. So this feels like it's gonna happen naturally, but at the same time, I guess it is gonna happen naturally, right? Because the droplet, I mean, no matter what it does, it's gonna keep falling into that body of water. So you already did your job. These were all 4 of these were minor arcanas. Minor arcanas are things that we are in control over, things that we can do, right? Things that we are in control over. It's our move in this game of life. And the major arcana is it's life's move, right? So all 4 of these were minor arcana, and then we have finished our job. We have done our work. Now it's time to just let gravity do its work. And gravity is doing its work by the court cards. So the court cards are personality. This is like in a video game where each character has different abilities, right? These are things that they are good at, but they all have the same stats as well, right? They all have attack stats, they all have defense stats, they all are good, but they are all good at one of those things, but more than the other. But they still have the power to have the other abilities and characteristics as well. And that's what these court cards are. The Princess of Wands is better at the wands, at the fire part of it, and then in that corner of wands, she is good at being the princess of it, right? Not the knight, not the king, not the queen. She is good at being the princess and of wands. So we have the Knight of Swords here as well. So the Knight of Swords, so the knight is the one that goes and saves the princess. The princess is the one that is seeing things for the first time, right? Just like this card was talking about the known and the unknowable. You know, this is the one that doesn't know things, and she is setting out on an adventure to know things, to explore. But since she doesn't know things, she is most likely going to get herself into trouble. And when she does get herself into trouble, right, the knight type of energy is good to get the princess type of energy out of trouble. And imagine all of this happening within yourself, right? You start off with this Princess of Wands, and you start off doing something new. You know, you will get yourself into trouble. You will make mistakes. You will not do things perfectly for the first time. And Wands is about going out and doing something, movement, right? So chasing after a passion. And the Knight of Swords is the one that's going to save. So as soon as you make a mistake, right, there's no point in punishing yourself. Just save yourself. Correct it. Learn why the mistake happened, and then correct the mistake, and then keep on going. Because this is a cool little movement. Like if you keep this pattern going of embodying the Princess of Wands, embodying doing something new and being excited about doing something new more than being nervous about making mistakes, right? Because we're not nervous about making mistakes because we know we also have this Knight of Swords energy, which is the knight, and then it's going to use our logic, it's going to use our mind to get out of this, whatever problems that our princess part of ourselves puts ourselves in, right? Every mistake that we make puts ourselves in a tough situation, and then the Knight of Swords is able to get out of it, and then we're still able to embody this princess type of energy too, where we're still excited about making mistakes, and we're still excited about new things, and then because we know we can get ourselves out of it. And yeah, that's pretty cool type of little tornado that is going to be happening, that you have acquired from all of this hard work that's been going on. This nightmare is being in the dump, but then realizing that even though you're in the dump, you can still make it into something cool, something awesome. Ooh, some cards flew out. So I want to take the one that is upside down, And I think that's good enough. And this flew out. 28. Yeah, exactly. So this is really about focusing on, even though you're in the dump, you can still make it not feel like a dump, right? Because this is my alone card. So Gabe says, I can't be alone anymore, Andy. Do you like being alone with me right now? And Andy says, no, this is horrifying. And Gabe says, I don't like being alone with me either. So we come into this world alone, and we will leave this world alone. It is important that we learn how to be alone and not lonely. Learn how to have fun even when being alone. Learning to be a hermit. Time to finding your inner light. I dare you to watch how magical life gets when you start having fun with yourself. And that's what this is all about, being in the dump. But since we're with ourselves, we are still going to have a good time. You know, we don't even necessarily need to be surrounded by people to have a good time, you know, because it seems like when we are surrounded by people, we are having a good time, but when we're with ourselves, we are definitely embodying being in the dump. And all we need to do is embody the same energy, even when we are by ourselves, even when we're alone. And then in the dump, we can still make it a good time. We can still have fun with ourselves. We can still embody this type of energy of being with the homies and having a good time, even though we're in the dump. Because even though you're by yourself, you're still with the homies. You're still a homie, right? So yeah, well, I want to see one more. I want to see one more card. Number 14. Cool, interesting. This is my meditation card, and this card is all about being able to become silent, being able to become receptive, right? That's how we listen to the homies when we're in the dump, by being silent and receptive instead of, you know, this is where that golden rule comes in, to where if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. You know, that rule wasn't meant for other people. That rule was meant about yourself. Whenever you have anxiety and you keep telling yourself bad things are going to happen, you know, how about if you don't have anything nice to say, you keep telling yourself nightmare, nightmare, nightmare. Let's try not saying anything at all, right? Number 14. And that'll be exactly what you need. Being silent, being receptive. And that's how we will start learning to have fun with ourselves, instead of telling ourselves nightmare, 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 because it's easy to be quiet when we are surrounded by other people and letting them talk, right? And then being receptive to what they're saying. And in that case, we are silent, right? But when we are by ourselves, we just keep talking to ourselves, but we aren't being nice to ourselves. We are nightmare, nightmare, nightmare. And I know that feeling for sure. That's what anxiety is. You know, you can't get yourself out of it, and it's just that hammer going nightmare, nightmare, nightmare. But if you don't have anything nice to say, remember, don't say anything at all. And that's you to yourself, and just at least remind yourself at any time that thought pops up of, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Just watch the silence that follows, and the more it'll pop up, you know, it's okay to go back to nightmare, 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 as long as you notice it at some point. You know, that's the only important thing, is the noticing. Don't be worried about you going back to nightmare, 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 because like all things, like all human things, you know, things take practice, right? So the same with us using our mind, the same with us using our emotions. Things take practice, and especially when we embody our mind and embody being our emotions, we don't feel like we can control them or change them, right? Because that is what we are. But that's not true. We have emotions and we have a mind, so we can use them at our will, you know. So that is what we are here to learn. And I really hope this reading helped. If it did help, please help me as well by leaving a like, leaving a comment, and subscribing if you would like to keep hanging out, as this is a safe place where we try to figure life out together. So thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.